If you're wanting to sell on Etsy but don't have a shop set up yet, this video is for you. You can pretty much consider this your Etsy shop for beginners setup crash course. In this video, I'm starting from square one and walking you through exactly what you'll need to do to get your Etsy shop back end set up and ready to launch. Now, if you want a quick tip from your girl who's sold on Etsy for 10 years and made it to the top 1% of Etsy shops, it's this. You can't just publish listings and hope they sell. Well, you could, I guess, but if you do that, you're most likely just gonna be hearing crickets in your shop. To make real income on Etsy, you've got to have smart strategy. I'm talking the kind of strategy that is proven to work by getting your listings number 1, ranking high in the search results, and number 2, optimized for high conversion. I have an Etsy success system that I've developed after years of trial and testing and seeing what works and what doesn't, and it's based on my top 5 pillars. The top 5 strategies that actually work to move the needle for my business and bring my Etsy income to multiple 6 figures. I've packaged it all in an hour-long free masterclass to help you get started off on the right foot. So after you watch this video, definitely click through on the link in the description box below to hop over and watch that, or you can go check it out at etsymasterclass.com. All right, enough talk, let's jump to the computer. So the first thing you'll want to do is click on the link in the description box below to hop over and start your Etsy shop. You'll see this page and you'll just click open a shop today. Then you'll go ahead and enter your first name and whatever password you want for your Etsy account and click register. And then it'll bring you to this page that says, welcome. We're so excited for you to join our marketplace. And then you'll click let's do this. And you'll continue through the next few pages answering these prompts, or if you're not really interested in that, you can always skip this question. You can also use this next page to select any areas you'd like help from Etsy with, and then click start your shop. So here you'll see at the top the different steps that we're going to go through in this initial setup process. We've got our shop preferences first, then we're going to name our shop, stock our shop, which just means creating your first listing. This doesn't even have to be a full listing. You'll see when we get to that part, you can just create a very simple basic listing to move on to the next step and then go back and actually stock your shop with your true listings later. And then we'll give Etsy our details on how we're going to get paid and share our billing info. And lastly, set up our shop security. So let's go ahead and continue with this first step that we're already on called shop preferences. So here we're going to choose things like our shop language, our country, and our currency. You can choose from the drop-down menus to change these and then click save and continue. Next is the fun part, which is naming your shop. So maybe you already have a name. If you do, you can go ahead and enter that name here to see if it's available. So just for this demo, I'm going to try the shop name Southern Oil Co. Now you'll notice I didn't put any spaces here. You actually can't have any spaces or special characters in your shop name. So you'll want to put all of the words together and make sure it's between 4 and 20 characters. And if it's available, it'll tell you this name is available. So that's great news for us. But let's go ahead and back up a little bit here so you can see what it looks like if you put in a name that is already taken. It'll say, looks like that name's already taken. So then you can go back and enter a different idea for a name, or it might give you suggestions down here for similar names. But once you've got one that you like that is available, we're going to click save and continue. And next we're on the stock your shop part. So this is what I was mentioning before. People get a little bit intimidated here looking at this. Tell us about your listing page because they feel like, oh no, I don't have anything available yet. I'm not ready to create a real listing yet. So just think of this more as a placeholder listing. Etsy just wants you to go through the motions of these prompts to just create your first listing. No one will even really see this. And as soon as you get your shop set up, you can go and put it on draft mode or delete it and add other listings. So this is really just something to get through the steps to get your shop open. So first you're going to input your category. So let's say I'm selling candles. I might go ahead and just start typing in candle. And then you'll see in the drop-down menu, a couple different category suggestions pop up and you just need to choose the one that best fits what you're selling. So I'm going to choose just the regular candles category. Then it asks you what type of item is it? Is it a physical item or a digital item? So as you know, on Etsy, you can sell both of these, but the one that you choose will determine the rest of how your listing is created. So for us, we're going to stick with physical item. Who made it? You can either choose I did, a member of my shop, or another company or person. So if you actually handmade this item, then you can select I did, or maybe you have someone that is a team member as part of your business that helped make it, then you can choose one of these. So I'm just going to choose I did for now. And then what is it? Either a finished product or a supply or a tool to make things. Just choose whichever one of these best fits your product. And when was it made? So here you're going to choose from the drop-down menu the year that it was made, or if it's made to order. So a made to order item is something that actually hasn't been made yet, but you'll make it as soon as the order comes in. So for now, I'm going to just act like I've already made these candles channels. I'm going to choose this year selection. And then I've got some more prompts down here. This one says, how does your shop produce this item? I can choose from these options. It's made from scratch. It's assembled from purchased parts. It's an item that my shop alters. It's a curated set of purchased goods, or it's a natural material. All of these different options are allowed on Etsy, but I want to choose the one that's most relevant and accurate for my product. And if I'm not really sure, I can read the little description underneath each to see which one is the best fit. So for now, I'm going to choose it's made from scratch. And then next is what tools are used to make this item. Again, just choose whichever ones are correct. You can choose more than one. So maybe for this one, I would choose handheld and hand guided tools. If you don't use any tools, you can always select this last one that says none. I don't use tools. And then the last part here is the production partners section. So if I'm using a production partner, that is anyone that's helping me actually with the production of this item, I do need to add a production partner here and disclose that to Etsy. So for instance, if I'm selling print on demand products, my print on demand provider would be considered a production partner. Or if I'm a handmade seller that maybe has someone I've hired for a specific part of the production process, I could consider them a production partner. So if I click to add a production partner, I'm going to go through these fields here to fill out who my production partner is. I'm going to put their name. I can toggle on or off here if I want to show this production partner's name to buyers. So my buyers who are looking at my listing will actually be able to see the name of this production partner. I'm going to type a little description about this production partner to help my buyers understand what the partner does for me. I don't have to be too detailed here. I can keep this part pretty general and then choose the location of where they are and go ahead and select the accurate answers for these last three fields. This part will only be shared with Etsy, so you don't have to worry about your buyer seeing any of these last three. Why are you working with this production partner? What is your role in the design process? And what is this partner's role in the production process? So again, you can just click on each of these, look at the drop-down options to select whichever one is most accurate and then click save. Then we're going to come back to this page and click save and continue. And this is where we're going to add more details. So this is continuing on with this placeholder listing. Again, remember, it's okay if you don't even want to keep this listing for the long term. We're just getting through these prompts and fields to continue on with our setup. So you can see here on the left, the different sections we're about to go through. Right now, we're on the about section. So this is where we're going to first enter the title for our listing. Now, if you really do want to create your first real actual listing that you're going to keep in your shop, you can definitely take your time and go through this and do this the right way. If you want this to be more of just a placeholder listing that you're just going to delete later and do different listings, you can just put in whatever you like here. So for now, I'm just going to put in something really general to get through this part. And you can tell which of these fields are required or optional based on the little asterisk. So any of these fields that have the little red asterisk next to it means that you do have to input something to move on to the next step. If it doesn't have that asterisk, it's an optional field and you can just skip over it for now. So here's your photos and videos section. You can add up to 10 photos and 1 video here. So again, if you're wanting to make this an actual real listing, you can go ahead and upload whatever photos you want for this listing. For now, I'm just going to upload a temporary photo. They do make a note here. They say, we found that listings with video get twice as many orders as listings with just photos. So it's optional if you want to add a video or not. You don't have to, but if you can add a video, that's a great way to increase the likelihood of conversion. But remember, you don't have to necessarily do this here if this is just serving as a placeholder listing for you. All right, so then under that section, we can see from our photo that we uploaded our thumbnails. There's nothing we really need to do with this if you're just wanting to move on. But if you want to use this as your first actual listing, you can always adjust the thumbnail here by clicking on adjust thumbnail and then using your slider to zoom in or out, depending on what your photo looks like. You might want to zoom in a little bit to give a closer look. So that's totally up to you. And then we're going to keep coming down where the next field is description. This is where we're going to actually type out our whole description of what our product is. For a real listing, this would include things like a hook in the beginning, which is just a little sentencer to grab the shopper's attention and encourage them to keep reading. Of course, you want to describe in detail what your product actually is and give any needed information like care instructions, any details they might need to know if it's a digital product as far as how to download or printing out. This is really where you're going to give your buyer as much information as possible to help them feel comfortable making the purchase. Now, one key here that you'll learn if you watch my masterclass that I mentioned earlier is weaving in organically your keyword phrases that you're targeting for SEO purposes. SEO stands for search engine optimization, and this is using highly searched keyword phrases in strategic areas in your listing, like this description area, like your title and your tag section that we'll get to in just a minute, but weaving those in so that the Etsy algorithm can correctly identify what your listing is all about and match it with the right shoppers. So I don't have time now to get into that whole SEO strategy, but it is fully outlined in that masterclass. So definitely hop over when you're done watching this video to see my whole SEO strategy for getting discovered using those keyword phrases. Okay, next down is personalization. This is for if you're offering an item that can be personalized or customized in any way. So let's say we want to add a personalization. We can give instructions for buyers here. This section is what the buyer will actually see. So let's say I'm offering candles where the labels can be customized. I might want to say, enter the name and quote you want on the candle. And then beneath that, I can give a character limit for the buyer's response. So when it shows up for them, they're going to have a field just like this little box where they can type in what they want, but I can limit how many characters. So if I don't want them typing out a whole paragraph that they want me to personalize it with, maybe I just want to offer them, let's say 100 characters for their personalization. I can limit that there. And then I can also toggle this switch on or off for making the personalization optional for the buyer. So if I have it on, that's going to make it optional. They can either choose the personalization or not, but maybe I want to require them to enter something for the personalization. I can toggle that off to make it required. And scrolling down, this is where we enter our price point. Let's just say I'm going to go with $20 and the quantity, how many I have in stock, let's say 30. And I also have a button here where I can add a SKU number if I'm keeping track of my inventory using that method. Then next down is variations. So variations are going to be drop-down menus with different options for my buyer. So when I click to add a variation, I can choose things like primary color, secondary color, width, height, scent. This is going to be based on what category you originally chose. So since I chose the candle category, it's giving me something like scent here. Your options here may look different depending on what category you chose in the beginning for your product. So you can go with one of these options, or you can even click here to create your own. So maybe I want to name my variation fragrance. I can enter the name of that there. I can toggle this on if I want to link certain photos to this variation. So let's say I have one photo each for each of my different fragrances. I can link so that they can actually then click on the photo. Let's say they see the one that's my coconut lime fragrance. They want to see which one that is from the photos. They can actually just click on the photo and it'll lead them to this variation so they know which one is in that photo. That's optional. I can also leave this toggled off if I don't necessarily want to link my photos. And then I'm going to add in the options. So for my fragrances, let's say I have one that's coconut lime. I'm going to click add, and then I can keep entering more options. Maybe I've got a vanilla, maybe a citrus, and I can add as many of these as I want. And as I add them, I'm seeing them pop up here. I can always come back to my listing when I'm editing later and delete these to get rid of any of them. And also click here to drag them and change the order I want them to appear in with these little 3 dots. And when I'm finished, I'm going to click done. And this takes me to my page where I can manage these variations. So I can see my 3 options here. I can always add another variation. And then I can toggle on additional details if they vary from fragrance to fragrance. So let's say I want to charge one price for my citrus fragrance and another price for my vanilla, then the prices are going to vary between these, which means I'll need to toggle this one on for prices vary. Maybe the quantities are the same, maybe the SKUs are the same, or maybe they're different. Whichever ones are different, you want to toggle these on if they vary from variation to variation. So I'm going to just stick with prices for now so I can show you what this looks like, and I'm going to click apply. So now when I go back to my variation section, I can see here where I have the option to enter a different price for each one. So let's say I want to charge $15 for my citrus fragrance and $18 for vanilla and $20 for coconut lime. Now I can always come back to my listing later, and under where it says visible, I can toggle one of them on or off. So let's say that I do really well with my vanilla option and that one sells out. I can just toggle that off so that it's not visible until I get more in stock. Now, continuing down the list here, we've got our tags and attributes section. So here we've got different attributes that are going to show up that we can choose just to give more details about what our product actually is. These serve as filter qualifiers for shoppers. So if a shopper uses a filter, this is going to help the Etsy algorithm show or not show our items to that shopper depending on if it qualifies for the filter they chose. Now, again, these are going to look different depending on what category you chose for your product in the beginning. Since I chose the candle category, I've got one that says wax type. I've got some that say width and height, but you may have different ones depending on if you're selling jewelry or signs or digital products. It just depends what your category is. Now, I don't have to fill these out. These are all optional, but I definitely recommend filling out whichever ones are actually relevant that you feel like would help give more details about your product, because these are just serving not only as filter qualifiers, but as extra tags for the algorithm to correctly identify what your listing is. So I'm going to go through these and just choose the correct answer for each one. And then I'm going to come down to to my tags section. So this again is a key area in your listing for SEO, your search engine optimization. Adding highly searched keyword phrases that are relevant to your product in this tag section is crucial to be able to be found and discovered in the search and ranked high so you're more visible to shoppers. So you've got the ability here to add 13 tags, and these are just individual words or phrases that you're entering each as their own separate tag. So if I've got a funny quote on my candles, I might say funny candle. That's one. Then I might say Mother's Day candle. That's another one. I could say vanilla candle, soy candle. I'm just going to continue entering these until I've used up all 13 of my tags. You can see how they're each their own individual phrase. Now, of course, I want to make sure whatever I'm typing in here is actually correct and relevant. I never want to try to mislead the algorithm because I want it to correctly identify what my product actually is. So again, I go through my whole process of doing this research to find what these highly searched keyword phrases actually are in my masterclass that's linked in that description box below. Next, I'm going to enter any materials I use. So here again, this is optional, but definitely great to add in correct information to just give the algorithm more information to work off of. And now I'm going to come down to where it says details. Again, these are some things I've already filled out. So it's showing under core details, I've chosen it's a physical item. I've chosen my category, which is candles. I don't necessarily need to do anything else in this section as I'm setting up unless I need to change one of these. And next, I'm going to come down to shipping. So here I'm going to choose my shipping option for this listing. I can either create an option or select a profile. Now, if this is my initial setup, I likely don't have any shipping profiles created yet. So I'm just going to select create option. And this is where I'm going to create my first shipping profile, which goes through things like the shipping prices, your origin zip code, processing time. So I'm going to just go through these fields. The first one asks me if I want to enter a fixed price manually or if I want Etsy to calculate them for me. This will just depend on what you want your shipping price to be. So if you want to just charge one specific shipping price across the board for everyone, not taking into account where they're located or anything like that, you would want to enter the fixed price manually, but anything else you'll want to choose calculate them for me. This is actually Etsy's way of calculating shipping based on your box size and where that shopper is located. Then you'll enter your zip code. This is wherever your product is shipping from. You'll select your processing time. You want, again, this to be accurate so that your buyer has clear expectations when they're ordering. You can choose what countries you'll ship to, what shipping services you want to choose. You have an option here to add free shipping for domestic or international or both. And then you can actually add a handling fee as well. This is optional. You don't have to do this, but you can. And this will be added to the buyer's shipping total, though they won't see it separately. It'll all show up just as one total. And then if you want to save this as a shipping profile because you want to use this same profile for multiple listings in the future, you would check this little box that says save as a shipping profile. That way all of these options are saved. You can use this again and apply this quickly with one click instead of having to go through filling all of this out again for a similar listing. You can name your profile here and then click save as profile and apply. So next down is the item's weight and size. So I'm going to enter in here the item's weight in pounds and ounces, and then the item size once it's packed. So it says here, enter the size of the item after it's been prepared for packaging, but not yet packaged. So for example, it's folded, but not boxed. So if you have to do anything as far as adding bubble wrap or tissue paper to it, it'll be after you've prepared it, but before you've boxed it. This is where you'll enter the length, width, and height for that. And then you can add any customs information here as well if you need to do that. Coming down to the settings section, this is where we're going to choose how the listing will display in our shop and how it's going to renew. So first up is returns and exchanges. We can let our buyers know how we handle returns for this listing. Do we accept them? Do we not? This gives you the option to apply a simple 30-day policy. This is where the buyer is responsible for return shipping costs and any loss in value if an item isn't returned in the original condition. So you can click to apply this policy. You'll be able to go back into your settings later in your Etsy shop dashboard and change these policies as well. So you can just apply this for now, use it as your default, and then if you need to make any changes, you can do that after we get through this initial setup. Next down is your shop section. So right now, obviously I haven't added any sections, but I might want to help the buyer navigate my shop. These shop sections will appear on my main shop homepage to just help them to more easily navigate and get to the area they need. So let's say I sell candles, but I also sell candle holders and wax melts. I might have a section for each of these. So if I'm going to add a new section, I can title it. So this one might be soy candles, save that one. And later I'll be able to come in and add more sections. And then as I'm creating more listings, I'll choose which section I want that listing to appear in. The next option down says feature this listing. This is if I want this specific listing to be showcased at the top of my shop's homepage. You can feature 4 different listings at the top of your homepage for the listings that have the most potential, maybe the ones that are your best sellers that you want buyers to see first when they land on your page. So do you want this one to be featured or not? You can toggle that on if so. And then your renewal options here, which are automatic or manual. If you choose automatic, that means this listing will automatically renew as it expires. So that's every 4 months. It expires after 4 months if it doesn't sell. It'll charge you 20 cents each time it renews. So that's 20 cents every 4 months it automatically renews. It also automatically renews if it does make a sale. It'll automatically renew it, bring it back up so that it can be showing again, and you'll pay that 20 cents each time it sells and automatically renews. Or you can choose manual renewal, which is where you will renew the expired listings yourself. If you choose manual renewal, you'll have to do a good job of remembering when things are supposed to expire, checking on your expired listings, going in and actually manually choosing to renew them. Again, you pay the 20 cents renewal fee either way. It's just a matter of if you want to manually do it yourself and remember that, or just have it on automatic renewal. I definitely recommend automatic unless you have a specific reason that you need manual. In my experience, when it's on manual, it's pretty easy to forget. And if something makes a sale, you may not even remember to go renew it after it makes the sale. So then it won't even be showing up to your customers. So I'm going to click automatic and then click save and continue. And now it says, great job on your first listing. So again, remember, this can be a listing that you choose to use and it's actually a real listing, or you can always go in later and remove this and put up different listings. So then we can either choose to add more listings right now, or we can choose to do this later. If you're just trying to get through this initial setup process, I would recommend you do this later. So we're going to continue on to how you'll get paid page. So this is entering your payment information for how you want Etsy to pay you when you make sales. So the first thing we're going to choose is where your bank is located. And then you're going to come down to choose what type of seller you are for tax purposes, either an individual or a business. This doesn't affect how your shop appears to buyers. This is just for Etsy's purposes to know on the back end. So most sellers will fall into the individual category when they're first starting out. Unless you are an actual business, you can click here to learn more to see how Etsy defines both of these if you're not sure. But you're going to select which one is correct for you and then come down to this next section that says tell us a little bit about yourself. You're going to select things like your country of residence, enter your name, your date of birth, and your taxpayer address. It says this should be the same address used when filing taxes, not a PO box or a business address. So you want this to match whatever address you use when you're filing taxes. Then at the bottom here, it says your bank information. So you're going to connect to your bank using Plaid. So you'll just go through this and work through the different prompts that it gives you to connect your account this way. So Plaid is just the service that Etsy uses to connect to your bank account. It's trustworthy and secure, so you can continue on with these prompts. First, you'll choose how to link your bank account. You can choose if you want to log into your bank to link instantly, or choose manual, which is where you enter your account and routing number to link instantly if you're eligible, or in 1 to 2 days. I'm going to continue with instant, and then you're going to choose your bank account. So you'll choose where your bank is and continue with the prompts from there. Okay, so next it's going to verify your identity in just a few steps. So it uses a third-party company called Persona to do this. This is something that Etsy does with every potential seller to just verify their identity. It protects the integrity of the marketplace and makes sure that you actually really are a real person, and helps reduce fraud. So it tells you the different steps you'll need to go through. You'll want to have your government issued ID ready to take a photo of. Then it'll ask you to pose for a selfie and finish setting up your shop. So when you're ready, you can click continue with Persona, and then you're going to click begin verifying and continue answering the prompts. You can choose what type of ID you want to share, anything from your driver's license to passport, state ID, work permit. There are several different options here. So select the one that you want, and you can click take a photo or use another device if you need to take the photo. I'm going to click use another device. I want to use my phone. So I'm going to select the option send me an SMS. I'm going to enter my phone number. So then they'll text me the link that I can use to continue this process. It says we've sent a secure link. Return to this page after you've finished submitting the photo. So at this point, if you're using your phone, you'll want to just pause here and get your phone out to take a picture of your ID and then come back to this page. All right, so I've finished the prompts with Persona, and then it says hold tight while we verify your identity. It says keep an eye on your email as we may reach out for more info within 1 to 3 days. Once your identity is verified, you'll be able to continue opening up your shop. So we're going to click got it. And then it gives us the option while we're waiting to go explore the seller handbook. So at this point, we're just going to watch our email and watch this Etsy account for the verification to come through. Okay, so I did have to wait a little bit for them to verify, but once they did, they emailed me and said, your identity has been verified. You can continue your setup process. So now it's let me continue on to this next page, which is share your billing info. This is where you're going to add your credit card information so that Etsy can have that to charge your Etsy bill for any fees. And it may ask you to pay a one-time setup fee as well. So it's showing here on mine as $29. But at the time of this filming, I know this amount has been varying as they recently put this into place, and it may show a different amount for you. So you can go ahead and put in information for whatever credit card you want Etsy to use for your billing, and then click continue. And once you've done that, it'll bring you to this next page, which is showing a one-time offer to get your setup fee back. So again, this is what's showing at the time of filming. This may have changed depending on when you're watching this video, but at the current time, they're giving a one-time offer to join Etsy Plus, which is Etsy's subscription that you can upgrade to for $10 a month. And if you choose that, you get your setup fee back. So with Etsy Plus, you're getting credits for listings, you're getting Etsy ads credits. So you can choose if you want this or not. For now, I'm just going to click that I don't want this and click save and continue. And here we're on the last step, which is our shop security. This is where you can turn on two-factor authentication, which is just a process that helps keep your account extra safe so that anyone who tries to sign in from a new device or a browser will need to verify that they're allowed to access your account, either using the Authenticator app or a unique code. You can click here to learn how two-factor authentication works, and then choose an option to get started. If you want to get codes via text message, this will send you a code whenever someone tries to log in from a new device or a browser. You can choose phone, which will give you codes via a phone call, or you can choose the Authenticator app, which is the most secure, and this is where they'll need to verify access using a mobile app. I've done both the SMS and the Authenticator app before. I think both of these are good options. For now, I'm just going to choose SMS and click continue. And here is where you will enter the number that you want Etsy to send the codes to. And then they'll ask you to verify that this is actually your number by getting the code sent to you by clicking here on send code. And then you'll enter the verification code that was sent to your number here. And once you've done that, you're finished with your setup and you can officially open your Etsy shop. At this point, you can go to your shop manager and look through your settings, continue to add listings, build out your shop page, and get ready to shout it from the rooftops that your Etsy shop is open for business. Now remember, like I said before, to be a successful Etsy seller and earn true income on Etsy, you're gonna have to implement smart strategy, which is why I would love for you to click through on the link I have in the description box below to watch my free 5-pillar Etsy success formula masterclass to make sure you hit the ground running with smart tactics that actually work to get your listings breaking through and making sales. Happy selling, friend.